What's up guys, Dem Apples here, back with another video. Hope you all are doing well, and today we are playing a Climbing the Rating Ladder series. I just resigned a previous game to get our rating to like 500-ish, and this is our first 10-minute game, so I'm going to go for the Caro-Kann here. E4 c6, it goes for this very interesting pawn to e5. Now my first instinct is to undermine this pawn. So, like, basically get rid of any advantage he could have. My second instinct is to go d5 and ignore it entirely, gaining space in the center. Um, I think I'm going to undermine this pawn and get rid of it right away. He goes for d4. Interesting. So, if I'm correct, this move just loses a pawn. Because after I take this pawn, alright, he's going to capture back. And I am not going to exchange queens. I'm going to use tactics to my advantage. I'm going to go queen to a5 check, forking the king and the pawn, winning a pawn. So, I mean, e5 is definitely not the best way to deal with the Caro, but after d6, if he were to take here, I would have taken with either the pawn or the queen. Either would have been good. And I would have fianchettoed my bishop, fianchettoed my bishop, castled, and had a very nice position. Because he has no central presence whatsoever. Because, I'm taking it away from him right now. Uh, But looks like here he's just losing a pawn because this is a fork. C3 blocks the check, and now let's see. He offers a queen exchange. Now I am a material, so I'm going to accept this. He shouldn't be offering me a queen trade if he's down material, but I guess he doesn't know that. But that's a pro tip. All right. Looks like knight of 6 and bishop f5 both look like good moves to me. It doesn't really matter which order I play them in, I think. So I'm gonna go for bishop f5. I like moving the bishop out first, uh, just in case I want to trap it later. You don't want to accidentally go e6 and then block your bishop. So let's just get it out first. Knight a3, very interesting. I'm gonna just develop my knight. Knight a3, I don't think is that bad. He obviously intends to route it to. He does not intend to route it to c4. He intends to put his bishop on c4 for some reason. Now his knight is out of good squares because it's not going back here. It's not going here. It's not going here because his bishop is on it. And later I can probably go b5, just taking away c4 from any of his pieces forever. But for now, I'm going to go e6 because this is just fine. We're being solid and it's all right. Goes for bishop to g5. Interesting. My first instinct here is to go knight e4, just counterattacking that bishop, and why not? Because if he's stupid, which he might be, let's say bishop f4, right? I can take this pawn, because if he takes back, oops, you've lost your knight on a3. So I'm going to go for knight e4, attacking this bishop with a sneaky threat. In order to avoid this, he has to go bishop d2, but bishop d2 isn't the kind of move he wants to play, because he gives me the bishop pair and he loses his castling rights, which, to be fair, isn't that big of a deal in the endgame, but, it could make a big difference. So right now we threaten knight takes c3, and after takes, we go here. And he straight up just hangs the knight, the bishop. Very nice. Thank you very much. Goes for an interesting knight e3. Okay, we are at 4 points. We are in a technically winning position, but we don't want to bust it too early. So I could go for bishop e4, which would create this nasty threat. However, it's short-lived because after f3, our bishop needs to move away. And then he could possibly trap our knight. So I'd like to keep e4 open for our knight in case he goes for h4. Because our knight is actually running really short on squares, right? So let's just go for bishop g6. I don't want him to take my bishop either. And yeah, looks like we are chilling. Goes for knight f3. His best try is probably pawn to h4 here. After knight e4, pawn h5. Um, but I think this is still fine for me, maybe. After bishop f5. No, it's not, actually. Yeah, I may have screwed up there a little bit. I should have just moved my knight. short to keep it short, but he did not see that. Thank you very much. I will exchange more pieces because I can. And now let's look at the weaknesses. These squares look really juicy to me, and a knight on e5 would target everything. So I'm going to go for knight to d7, planning to bring my knight to e5. And there's not much he can do here. I'll probably castle next. And okay, goes for knight to g4, preventing knight to e5. But does this really do much? I mean, I don't think so. I can just boot the knight out. Uh, and he gives me the knight. Okay, thank you very much again. He's just giving me all his pieces. I'm not sure if this is normal 600 rated behavior. We're gonna give him a check, forking the king and the pawn, winning yet more material. And I will probably, yeah, since I'm such a good guy, I'm gonna castle my king, and I'm gonna put the rook on the second rank or the seventh rank, either one, depending on which color you are, of course. Yeah, this should be GG soon. I don't want to necessarily check him yet because after king e3, my knight and rook would be forked. So I'm gonna go bishop c5 check, hitting the king, king g3, but right now it looks like his king is in massive danger. It doesn't have many squares to go to. In fact, h4 is almost checkmate. So I'm going to go pawn to e5. My knight is very nice here, and I'm just gonna solidify it. Now, if I get two more free moves, I go bishop f5 and h4 checkmate. Uh, he may or may not let me do this. We'll see about that. Looks. I know that knight d3 is a pretty good move. However, I'm looking for style points here. So I would like to protect this pawn as much as possible. Let's see, how can we do this? I want to go here and just like checkmate him. Or here, do we have a forced checkmate? Let's calculate. Check, king g4, and what next? That's the question. Well, possibly we could go for bishop check here, but after king f5, it looks like to me that his king is kind of escaping. This may or may not be true. I'm not sure. Let's check. Here, and his king can go to e4, which is quite annoying for me because I just want to end the game here. But he's not gonna let me do that, I guess. Would be very nice to get my rook here. My battery is 2%, brother. Okay. I don't care. You're not winning this game either way. I just want to win in a funny way. Let's go for this rook to e8 because I want to protect my pawn here. What is bro doing? Okay, I want to checkmate him in style. Wonder if he'll let me. I threaten pawn here, checkmate, and that's going to be a very nice game. Yeah, I'll do one more because, yeah, this one was quite quick. Okay, against Enemets, 696. We are climbing. So let's go for pawn to e4. Very normal move. He goes for the Alekhines defense. Very interesting. Exotic. Okay, I think I'm going to advance this pawn, attack the knight, see where he's planning to go with it. He might go to the rim, which isn't a good idea. Goes 94. I'm not sure if this is something I'm accustomed to. Very exotic knight move. Now his knight is pretty short on squares, and so the move I'm looking at right now is pawn to d4, taking away the c5 square from his knight, as well as the g5 square for his knight. And that means that if I go pawn f3 or something like that, or bishop d3, his knight is just straight up trapped. So I'm going to go for pawn to d4. I don't actually know the correct move here, but pawn d4, controlling the center, looks natural enough. Goes knight to c6, attacking my pawn on d4. Unfortunately for him, I think his knight is just straight up trapped. Now, I could attack it with my bishop, but I give him a chance to protect it with pawn d5. And even though pawn f3 still traps it, it's not really the kind of trouble I want to go through. So pawn f3, just straight up winning a piece, looks pretty nice to me. and his knight is just trapped. Can't go here, can't go here. Where else is he supposed to go? Can't go to any of these squares. So, I think we're doing quite well. Let's see what he's going to play next. He's probably going to play pawn to d5, protecting his knight. And if he goes pawn to d5, we don't want to capture on. Brother, your knight is not protected. Thank you very much. You might say, oh no, your king's in the open. Yeah, but it doesn't really matter because I have such a big center that, and additionally, I am up material. I have a big center, and there's not much he can do about it. So, he offers a trade of pawns. This is a pretty good move because my king is in the center, and he wants to punish me. I don't think he can, but I'll just take this pawn. Not much I can do about it. Protecting it would be really risky. And he goes queen takes, attacking my pawn. Uh, I could go pawn to c3 to defend it, but I think I'm going to go for bishop to e3, developing another piece and covering my pawn. And next, I am gonna look. Hopefully, I can develop the rest of my pieces. Now, this move does lose a pawn, and I am completely fine with that. See, the idea is that if takes, I can take, and yes, I lose a pawn, but I exchange queens, and exchanging queens is much better in this position, especially with a centralized king. And right now, he has to make a decision whether or not to exchange. He does not exchange. Very, I don't know if that's smart or not, but it's not stupid for sure. All right. Now, my instincts are telling me to play pawn to c3, but I do see this I see this interesting idea of playing knight to c3 and some weird knight to b5 stuff. And I see some weird ideas of going pawn to c4. But I'm not gonna touch those right now. It's best to have a nice solid position. So I'm gonna go for pawn to c3. In retrospect, it might have been all right as well to go knight e2, reinforcing my pawn. But I don't want him to go knight b4 and harass my bishop because I like my bishops. And there's no reason why I should give up my bishop for a knight in this position. So he castles here. Looks very logical. I'm going to go knight e2. Just solidifying my point even more and preparing to castle by hand as well if I need to. Goes for pawn to g6. I could try to castle by hand right now, but the pawn on h2 would be hanging, and that would be slightly problematic. So for now, I think my king is relatively safe. I'm going to go knight to d2, preparing a move like knight to e4, booting the queen out so it doesn't have to, so I can move my rook, not worry. Goes knight to a5, interesting. Not really sure what that move does, to be honest. I think I'm going to gain a tempo because I do want to attack his king rather, because we are on opposite sides and I would like to start some sort of attack here. And right now he's letting me do this with tempo, so I'm gonna go queen to a4, attacking the knight. Doesn't seem like he has any really good response. Additionally, after we attack his queen, we have a very nice square on c5 where we can just land our pieces. So he goes for this. If I'm correct, this just loses another piece, does it? No, it doesn't. Okay. I was thinking pawn to d5, and I thought, oh, we have a nice double attack and we win. But unfortunately, he can just move his queen, say, wherever, and then he can take our pieces on d3. But I'll calculate it a bit more just in case. Pawn to d5, right, with a double attack. Let's say queen to... This is really risky, so let's say queen d6. Pawn takes, queen takes, queen takes, queen takes. Is this any good? I mean, we could try to exchange queens. I mean, get some material here, but it doesn't look super great to me. I mean, again, we're probably still winning after pawn takes pawn, but no reason to get into complex stuff when you don't have to. I'm going to go for pawn to b4, kicking the knight out of the way. And it has to go here. And after that, maybe we can consider playing here again. But as I said, I like to keep things simple. And so a move like bishop e4 or like knight c4 looks fine to me. Although I do want to keep this idea alive because I mean a piece is a piece, and that's a lot. Actually, now that I'm looking at this, because he's played knight c6 and queen to d6 is no longer available, pawn to d5 straight up traps his queen. So very nice find by us. Yeah, his queen is just out of spaces, and it looks like we're going to win it. So just tactics all around, the double attack, a very simple chess concept, comes into play here. And yeah, looks like he's in big trouble right now. Not sure what exactly he's going to do, but let's see. Knight to d4. Probably the best he could have done, maybe not even. Because after bishop takes d4, this is no longer just an attack, this is like a fork. And this bishop is still hanging. So I could take this, but his rook isn't really doing anything, if you think about it. And so I am actually more inclined to take this bishop right now, because it is doing something. And if he wants to move his rook, he can, but then his rook's going to be trapped again. So, yeah, I prefer to not give my opponent any counterplay. I'll just take this bishop off the board. Knight e4 is still strong. Queen takes a7 is another threat. He simply cannot deal with everything, especially this hanging rook as well. So, yeah, this looks like it's going to be GG soon. Might go knight e4. Okay, he does take here. I could take here, but then I would give him some counterplay as well, which I honestly hate giving my opponents counterplay. We could bring our knight to f4, attacking the queen again, and forcing it to a weird square. Now that I'm looking at it, it doesn't seem like he has any good options for the queen. So knight f4 looks like a strong move. Queen takes a7, of course, is going to be strong as well. Let's see what we're gonna do. If knight f4, he goes queen d6, and we get attacked again. We could go knight e4, but we would just hang a knight. So I think I am going to take here. Again, I could have taken the free rook here, but I don't like giving my opponents any sort of counterplay as well. It's better to just keep this d file closed and not let his rook in. So he does prevent me from taking his rook, but it's all right because I think we're just checkmating him right now. Let's see. Knight e4 looks strong to go knight here, as well as bishop e4, threatening checkmate in one. How is he going to stop that, actually? He probably has to go c6, and then I don't really see a huge follow-up. b5 looks very strong to me. We could also go for knight e4, preparing knight to c5, which also looks like GG's. Everything looks like GG right now. So I'm going to go for bishop e4, threatening the pawn on b7. And, if he lets us take this, his whole entire position is crumbling. So he does go c6 like we expect. And now, looks like we have a couple good options now that I'm thinking about it. Bishop b6 looks extremely juicy because he just weakened the b6 square with his pawn push. And additionally, if he takes this free knight, we can go queen to a8 check. And after king to d7, we have queen to d8, which is a very nice checkmate. I don't think he sees that. And again, as I said, b5 looks pretty strong, but we improvised and we saw that this move was stronger. And looks like he's going to fall for exactly what I said. Queen to a8, king to d7 is forced, and queen to d8. Very nice checkmate. And very clean game overall, I believe. Yeah, we played pretty much perfectly. Let's take a look at that. It does appear like we played at 94% accuracy, so that was pretty good. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed seeing this thought process of a chess master, and I'll see you next time.